break.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Health and Long-Term Care. Minister, I've raised this issue with you before about the ongoing funding challenges facing the Collingwood General Marine Hospital. I explained that as per a key outcome of their 2012 sustainability review, they were promised gap funding for 3 consecutive years, while the new health-based allocation model is rolled out. Well, Minister, it's now April. The fiscal year has come to an end. The new funding model hasn't been fully implemented. The hospital hasn't received this funding, and without it, they face a $1.8 million deficit and will be forced to drop a core service. Last year, there were 476 expectant mothers that gave birth at this hospital, 1,071 ski accidents that got treated in the emergency room, 1,193 hip and knee orthopedic surgeries. So, Minister, my question is quite simple. Which of these, without this funding, which of these core services should the hospital no longer provide?
Thank you, Minister of Health and Long-Term Care.
Well, Speaker, as I said earlier today, we are in the middle of a transformation in our healthcare spending. As I acknowledged earlier today, it is a difficult time for hospitals as they accommodate, as they rethink their services as we make sense out of how hospitals are funded. As you, as a former health minister, would well know, before we introduced our new funding reform for hospitals, it was impossible to explain why the budget for one hospital was what it was relative to another. So we're bringing some sanity actually to how we fund hospitals. For some hospitals, that means an increase in budget. For others, it means a lower budget. We are implementing this over time. Hospitals are well aware of what their allocations will be under the new funding model, and we're working with all the hospitals to do this in a way that protects patient care.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Minister, certainly through you, Mr. Speaker, I think we've indicated many times on this side, for the most part, we agree with the new HPAM funding model. But the point here is Collingwood General Marine Hospital was given a letter from your ministry indicating that it would get 3 years of gap funding, and so it budgeted accordingly. It didn't get its funding, and I got a letter from you suddenly in December of last year after I perpetually raised this thing, saying that the LHIN has asked for you to make a decision on this gap funding, second year of gap funding, and that you're reviewing it. We hear from the LHIN recently that you're going to renege on that promise. And they've already gone to the 4 mayors in the Collingwood area, Mississauga Beach and Clearview, and throughout the area, and they want to come down and see you because of a broken promise. It's a relatively small amount of money. The hospital budgeted based on your commitment, your government's commitment.
Question.
And they are going to cut patching people up on the ski hill, births, or hips and knees. That's what they're telling the community, and it'll be on your head. So what is it? What are they supposed to cut in order to...
Thank you.
You not fulfilling your promise?
Well, Speaker, I would be happy to meet with them if that's what they'd like to do, and we will go over the what's happening at that particular hospital. I do think, though, that as I look at what hospitals are doing, I find it a little bit hard to believe that they would no longer care for people with broken legs. I think our hospitals are far more responsible than that. In fact, they have an obligation to provide service, Speaker. So I would be happy to look into it, happy to meet with the community, and I can assure you that we will do what we can, everything we can do, to make sure that services are maintained in the appropriate way, Speaker.
Thank you. New question, the member from Beaches East.